War took away so much: lives, homes, dreams. But it could not take away the most important thing, the strength of the human spirit. This is the story of a soldier who walked through fire and ashes to prove that true victory is born not on the battlefield, but in the heart. You will witness something that will change your understanding of strength. This is a story of resilience, pain, and hope. A story that must never be forgotten. Subscribe to the channel to hear more stories of resilience, courage, and hope. Every subscription helps preserve their voices and make their sacrifice immortal. Changsha, Autumn 1939. The city lived in anxious anticipation. In the narrow streets, where only recently merchants shouted prices for rice and tea, silence now reigned. Only rare footsteps echoed in the morning air, and every sound seemed too loud. People spoke in whispers, as if afraid to disturb the invisible force looming over the city. Rumors of the approaching Japanese army spread faster than the wind. Some claimed the enemy had already crossed the Xiang River. Others said they were camped just a few leagues from the city. No one knew the truth, but everyone felt disaster was near. On the city wall stood a young officer, Li Wei. He was 25, and for the first time he commanded a company. His eyes, weary from sleepless nights, looked into the distance, toward the horizon where the enemy was hidden. He remembered his childhood, running through these streets, his mother calling him home for dinner, his father telling stories of ancient heroes who defended China from invaders. Now he himself had to become such a hero. Beneath the walls, work was in full swing. Soldiers carried sandbags, reinforced barricades, checked their weapons. Women brought water and bandages. Old men helped carry planks and stones. The city prepared for defense, though everyone knew. Weapons were scarce. Ammunition was running out, and the enemy was strong and merciless. Wei descended to inspect the positions. His company held the section of the wall at the eastern gate. Where the stones were ancient and cracked, they had built additional fortifications. Soldiers sat on the ground, cleaning rifles. Some prayed. Some wrote letters home. Wei stopped beside one of the fighters, young Zhang, barely 18. "Writing to your mother?" Wei asked. "Yes, Commander," Zhang replied without lifting his eyes. "I want her to know. I am not afraid." Wei placed a hand on his shoulder. "That's good. But remember, fear is not weakness. The main thing is not to let it control you." Zhang nodded, and in his eyes a spark of resolve flickered. In the evening, the city sank into anxious silence. Only rare campfires lit the streets. People gathered in houses, discussed news, prayed. Wei walked through the quarters, watching the residents. He saw a mother putting her children to bed, an old man sitting at the door staring into the darkness, as if trying to glimpse the future. In the city center, General Yue gathered the officers. His face was stern but calm. He spoke quietly, yet every word sounded like a decree of fate. "The Japanese are strong," he said. "They have more weapons, more soldiers. But we have what they do not: our home. We defend not just walls. We defend families, land, memory. We must stand to the end." These words penetrated the hearts of the officers. Wei felt a new strength rising within him. He understood. Even if tomorrow would be his last day, he must meet it with honor. The night was restless. Wei sat on the wall, gazing at the stars. The wind carried the smell of smoke. Villages were burning somewhere. He heard a distant rumble, like thunder, but knew it was not a storm, it was artillery. Thoughts swirled in his head. He remembered his mother, who always said, "Son, the most important thing is to be honest with yourself." He remembered his father, who had died in the previous war, and felt it was now his turn to continue the path. Beside him sat Zhang. "Commander," he said quietly, "do you think we will hold out?" Wei looked at him and replied, "We must. Even if only one man remains, he will stand." Morning brought alarm. At dawn, scouts reported Japanese troops were advancing toward the city. Their columns stretched for miles. Tanks and artillery thundered. The earth trembled. The city froze. People ran into the streets, looking east. Some cried, some prayed. Soldiers took positions, checked their weapons. Wei stood on the wall, feeling his heart beat faster. In the distance appeared the first enemy detachments. Their banners fluttered in the wind. Their steps were heavy and confident. It seemed the very earth shuddered at their approach. Wei raised his rifle and shouted, "Ready!" The soldiers took their positions. Silence hung in the air. That very silence before the storm, when every breath feels like the last. The first artillery salvo tore through the air. Shells struck the walls. Stones flew apart. Dust covered the sky. People screamed. Children hid in cellars. Wei felt the ground shake beneath his feet. "Hold the line!" he shouted. The soldiers opened fire. Bullets whistled. The enemy fell, but there were too many of them. The Japanese advanced like a wave crashing against the shore. Wei saw Zhang firing, his face pale but his eyes burning. He saw old soldier Wang rush to the machine gun despite his wound. He saw women bringing water and bandages directly to the positions, risking their lives. The city lived in fire. The city lived in fire. The battle raged all day. The sun rose and fell, but the fighting never ceased. The walls trembled. The streets turned into ruins. People fell, yet rose again. Wei felt exhaustion, but did not allow himself to stop. His hands trembled. His eyes burned. He understood. This was only the beginning. When night descended upon the city, Changsha still stood. The Japanese had retreated to regroup. The soldiers sat on the ground, wounded, weary, but alive. Wei looked at his men and said, "We endured, and we will endure tomorrow." That night became a symbol. The city realized it could resist. The people felt the strength that is born of unity. The soldiers knew many battles lay ahead, but now they had faith. Changsha lived. Changsha fought. Changsha stood on the edge and did not fall. The sun rose over the horizon, painting the sky crimson. But for Changsha, this morning brought no peace. Instead of birdsong, the city heard a rumble, heavy, rhythmic, as if the earth itself trembled under the steps of the approaching army. From the east advanced Japanese columns. Tanks, artillery, soldiers in helmets, with rifles too many to count. Dust rose into the air, covering the sun, and it seemed that nature itself retreated before this avalanche. On the city walls stood Chinese soldiers. Their faces were stern, their eyes fixed ahead. They knew, today, the fate of Changsha would be decided. Among them was Li Wei. His hands gripped his rifle tightly. His heart beat so strongly, it seemed the enemy could hear it. "Ready!" he shouted, his voice carrying through the ranks. The first blows. The first salvo of Japanese artillery struck the walls. Stones shattered. Dust covered the sky. People screamed. Children hid in cellars. Wei felt the ground shake beneath his feet. "Hold the line!" he shouted again. The soldiers opened fire. Bullets whistled. The enemy fell, but there were too many. The Japanese advanced like a wave crashing against the shore. Wei saw Zhang firing, his face pale but his eyes burning. He saw old soldier Wang rush to the machine gun despite his wound. He saw women bringing water and bandages directly to the positions, risking their lives. The city lived in fire. Battle in the quarters. The fighting spilled into the streets. The Japanese broke through the eastern gate, and the battle moved into the quarters. Narrow alleys became a labyrinth of death. Soldiers fought hand to hand, grenades exploded, Smoke covered everything. Li Wei led his company down one of the streets. They took positions in a ruined house, fired from windows, threw grenades. Wei felt each minute turn into eternity. "Do not retreat," he cried. "This is our home." The soldiers answered with shouts, their voices merging into a single chorus. The general's strategy. General Li Wei observed the battle from the command post. His strategy was simple, yet ruthless. Allow the enemy into the city, then surround them. He understood the risk, but there was no other choice. "Let them think they have won," he told his officers. "Then we will close the ring." And the ring began to tighten. Chinese forces struck from the flanks, blocked roads, destroyed bridges. The Japanese were trapped. Wei felt the battle shifting. The enemy, once confident, now stumbled through the streets, not knowing where to go. Their columns jammed in narrow alleys, their tanks stuck behind barricades. But the fighting was still brutal. Wei saw his soldiers fall one after another. Zhang was wounded in the shoulder but kept firing. Wang, the old soldier, died at the machine gun, his hands gripping the weapon to the end. Wei's heart tore with pain, but he did not allow himself to stop. By evening, the city had become a ring of fire. Houses burned everywhere. Smoke covered the sky. The earth shook with explosions. People hid in cellars, prayed, wept. Soldiers fought to their last bullet. Wei stood on the roof of a ruined building, gazing at the city. He saw the Japanese flailing in the flames, the Chinese forces closing the ring. He understood. This was the climax. "We will win," he said quietly. "We must win." Night brought new battles. The Japanese tried to break through, but the Chinese held the lines. Wei led his soldiers through the streets. They fought hand to hand, threw grenades, fired from windows. Every step was a struggle. Every breath was a feat. Wei felt his strength fading, but he kept moving. He saw the eyes of his soldiers, weary, wounded, yet full of resolve. By morning, the Japanese began to retreat. Their columns, battered and exhausted, withdrew from the city. Chinese forces pursued them, finishing the remnants. The city was in ruins, but it stood. People emerged from cellars, greeting the soldiers as heroes. Wei, wounded, stood on the wall and looked out over the smoking fields. He understood. Their victory was not only a military success, but proof of the strength of spirit. General Li Wei addressed the soldiers. "We have shown the world that China can endure." And these words became a symbol. Changsha lived, Changsha fought, Changsha triumphed. But every soldier knew this was only one battle in a long war. Greater trials still lay ahead. Morning over Changsha was gray and heavy. The sun barely broke through the thick smoke that hung over the city like a mourning shroud. The stone walls, once proud and majestic, were now scarred by shells, covered in cracks and soot. Narrow streets had turned into ruins. Fragments of houses, overturned carts, scattered belongings left behind in haste. But the city still stood. The Japanese forces had retreated, leaving behind chaos and death. The Chinese soldiers, wounded and exhausted, still held their positions. Their faces were covered in dirt and blood, their eyes hollow from sleepless nights. Yet in those eyes burned a spark. They had endured. After the battle, Li Wei sat on a stone by a ruined wall. His arm was bandaged, blood seeping through the cloth. He watched the street, where women and children emerged from cellars. Their steps were cautious, their faces fearful, but in every movement there was hope. A boy of about 10 approached him and offered a piece of bread. "Take it, soldier," he said quietly. Wei smiled through the pain. "Keep it for yourself," he replied. "You need it more." But the boy insisted, and Wei accepted the bread. That small gesture seemed to him more important than any reward. In the city center, the remaining soldiers gathered. General Li Wei, stood before them. His face was stern, but his eyes shone with pride. "We have shown the world," he said loudly so all could hear, "that China can endure. We proved that even in fire and ashes we remain alive. This victory is not only ours, it belongs to every resident of Changsha, every soldier, every child who believed the city would stand." The soldiers listened in silence. Some wept. Some clenched their fists. Wei felt the general's words sink into his heart. He understood. They had not only defended the city, they had defended the very idea of resistance. But victory had its price. Bodies of the fallen lay in the streets. Women searched for their husbands, children for their fathers. Cries and wails mingled with the smell of smoke. Wei walked through the quarters. He saw ruined homes where life had thrived only yesterday. He saw an old man sitting among the wreckage of his house, clutching a family photograph. He saw a woman silently digging the earth to bury her brother. Every step reminded him, victory is not only joy, but also pain. Wei stopped by a wall where he had once played as a child. Now it was scarred, covered in cracks. He placed his hand on the stone and closed his eyes. "Father," he thought, "you died defending China. Now I have done the same. But why is victory so bitter? Why does every step remind me of those we lost?" He opened his eyes and saw Zhang, his young soldier. Zhang's shoulder was bandaged, but he smiled. "We endured, Commander," he said. "We proved we could." And Wei realized the bitterness of victory does not cancel its meaning. In the square, women raised a flag, old, torn, but still whole. It fluttered above the ruins, a symbol that the city lived. People gathered around. Some prayed, some sang. Wei lifted his hand and touched the flag. In that moment he felt Changsha was not broken. It would rise again from the ashes. Night fell over the city. Soldiers sat by campfires, sharing bread, telling stories. Children listened, their eyes glowing with curiosity. Wei gazed at the fire and thought, "We have won, but many battles lie ahead. And yet this victory proved we can endure. Even in ashes, we will find strength." General Li Wei approached him and said, "Li Wei, you fought well. Remember, true victory is not only on the battlefield. True victory is life after war." And Wei understood. Their journey was only beginning. At dawn, the city awoke. People began clearing rubble, building new houses, removing ruins. Soldiers helped them, despite their exhaustion. Changsha was coming back to life. Li Wei stood on the wall, gazing into the distance. The sun rose over the horizon, lighting the smoking fields. He raised the flag and said, "We have won, and we will win again." The city answered him with cries of joy. Years passed, but the memory of the Battle of Changsha did not fade. The ruins were rebuilt. The streets once again filled with the voices of merchants and the laughter of children. The stone walls, scarred by war, became a symbol of resilience, and every stone carried the story of those who fought and died for the city. Li Wei, now gray-haired, often came to the eastern gate. There, where he had once commanded his company, now stood a monument, a flag raised above the ruins, immortalized in bronze. He looked at it and remembered the faces of his soldiers. Zhang, with his youthful determination. Old Wang, who died at the machine gun. The women who carried water and bandages under fire. General Li Wei had long since passed away, but his words still echoed in memory. True victory is life after war. And Wei understood. It was this life that became their greatest legacy. Changsha had become a city symbol. Every year, the residents gathered in the square to remember those who gave their lives. Children listened to the veterans' stories, and pride was born in their eyes. Victory through ashes became part of their identity. part of their future. And when the sun rose over the city, lighting the walls and streets, it seemed that Changsha itself spoke to the world. I stood on the edge. I burned in fire. I rose from the ashes. And my victory is memory, strength, and hope for all who believe in life after war. If this story touched you, if you believe that memory and the strength of spirit must live on, support our project. Subscribe to the channel to hear new stories of soldiers, their trials, and their victories. Every subscription is a step toward making their voices louder and ensuring their sacrifice is never forgotten.